Good afternoon, everyone. It is November the 28th, 2025. The next video I'm going to put up is legislation on rental legislation, and it's very controversial at this point, and I can see why. The province has said they, or claim they're trying to make it easier, or bridging between renters and the landlords. And this, I can see why in the gallery where people were heckling that, because it doesn't make less sense than what we've got even right now, and we need better laws. And it seems to be more favoring the landlord. And I want to kind of explain this to you because of when you talk about the rent evictions and just even the ordinary evictions if you don't pay your rent. And I'm just going to give you a couple of examples why I am worried about this legislation of what happened to me. Now, when I had a two-bedroom, my daughter moved in with me first, and then she moved out, but to pay the rent, I needed another person to move in. So I had another person move in. I put them on the lease with me, and they paid half the rent, and I paid half the rent. So each year when the rent went up, we'd split that in half. Let's say it was $20 for an example, or in this case it was $22, okay? And so I paid half. I paid my $6, and she was supposed to pay her $6. She forgot to tell her worker to add another $6, so that it would go into the landlord on her half. So lo and behold, I pay my half. In the middle of the month, I get a notice from the landlord that if I don't pay up, I'm going to be evicted with my tenant, as well, the other lady that was living with me, over $6, because it was only $6 that wasn't paid. Now, that was the first incident that I had. The second incident was much more serious. As you're aware, I was in the hospital, if you go back to my earlier videos, and I'll explain a little bit more of what happened, and this is why this has me kind of worried about that, the way the legislation is coming out, is because before I went into the hospital, I was sick for several days, so I couldn't get to the bank to go pay the rent for January. I ended up, the end of December, in the hospital. But how I ended up in the hospital was a bad way, and this is where I'm really praise Julie for thankfully being there for me, because the day that I ended up in dire straits was the day that Julie was supposed to come over, and thank goodness she was coming over to see me, because I wasn't feeling well. So she said she'd pop in on me, but she wasn't too worried. I thought, okay, I've just got the flu, I've got a cold bug, no problem, I'll get over this like I usually do. Didn't realize how serious it was going to become, for certain. And so I had gone into the kitchen. I was feeling weak, but before I went into the kitchen, I knew Julie was coming over, and I knew she'd buzz me in, but I buzz her in, I should say. And when she hit the buzzer, and I thought, okay, I'll just open my door. So I'm feeling a little weak, I'm not feeling good, so I'll just grab a bite to eat, and then I'll go sit in my chair and wait for her to ring my buzzer. So lo and behold, I opened the door, I got in the kitchen, went to open the fridge door, and I collapsed on the floor. Couldn't get off the floor. And I guess it was a couple of hours before she finally showed up, but I wasn't aware of she was trying to ring my buzzer. I knew she was trying to get me, and of course my phone was in the other room, and I couldn't get off the floor to pick up the phone even. And so she thought, well, that's strange. I hope you're all right, because she knew I was expecting her. So fortunately, someone in the building knew her and let her in. So thankfully, she came through my door, because I left it open, the apartment door, to find me collapsed on the floor. And so then I ended up taking a trip to the hospital. And then they found out that it wasn't just the flu and a cold. I picked up a very nasty infection, and that infection was turning into sepsis. I almost lost my life at the time. And all you have to do is look at my past videos to see how skinny I went, from 145 pounds down to 118 pounds within about 6-7 weeks. Very quickly, I totally went down in weight due to the infection, and of course that's why they had to put penicillin in me every 4 hours. So I didn't get to pay the January rent for the 1st of January. I ended up in the hospital at the end of January, or not January, but I mean December of 2022. So here I am, January and February, I'm in the hospital. As soon as I was well enough at the beginning of January, I called up The landlord, my landlord, well, he has people that answer the phones and that. They do because it's in social housing. And I informed them I would be paying both the January rent as well as the February rent together because I was in the hospital and I wasn't near where my banking information was, and I certainly couldn't get to the bank myself to go get the rent money. So not to worry, the money was there. So I ended up spending the 6 weeks in the hospital. I get home. What do I see? Another eviction notice. If you don't pay your rent on time, we're going to evict you. So I got this letter, and I, of course, being a senior, I mean, I didn't need this worry in the hospital that they were not going they were going to evict me if I didn't pay my rent. That's the last thing I needed while I was trying to recuperate. And this I can see where it could be very taken advantage of, but I can also see a bad way. Like, luckily I ended up on the hospital. I was still alive. But I always go and I do it and I punch in the rent myself. I don't do it where you turn around and you have it automatically paid to the landlord. I prefer to do it that way. But can you imagine if I had collapsed, Julie hadn't come in, and I had died in the apartment? It might have taken them a couple of months anyhow to figure out that I was dead in my apartment. And they would have been just automatically getting the money. So nobody would have realized that there was something wrong in the apartment. So that's why I don't do it that way. But the other thing is, these notices, I found out, they come out automatically to people. And I don't think that's right. And they scare the heck out of them. And I mean, here I am. And it's just a terrible situation. It was just an accident. It just happened. And I'm a senior. But I keep thinking, thank God that Julie came along when she did to help me out. It was just luck for me. But I'm going to leave it there for today. But I just wanted to express my opinion of what I think about these notices that come out automatically without people checking to see if there is something wrong in the first place before they go jumping into putting out these notices that's ridiculous at the same time. So it's a way that they can actually take advantage of people. Because if I had died, fine, but they wouldn't have got the 2 months rent probably at that point, unless my daughter paid it for them, went into my bank account and paid them for the 2 months that I might have been dead in the apartment. Let's put it that way. So it makes me furious to think of how they're doing these laws and not thinking seriously, not using common sense of just automatically saying, oh, yeah, no problem, just give them the 100 and whatever it is days of notice that you're going to be evicted. Well, it gets a little quicker than that when you just get an eviction notice. But it's kind of a scary proposition, and it really makes it come forward to make people realize just what we as seniors are having, why we are worried, because we go paycheck to paycheck as well. But it wasn't like I didn't have the money in the bank. It was just I was physically in the hospital. I couldn't get to the bank and couldn't get to my banking information. So I did get it straightened out with them eventually. But what got me was I specifically told them when I called up to put a note on my file that I would be paying as soon as I was in the hospital, and I would be paying as soon as I got out. So it makes me very, very furious to see this sort of thing. So I'm going to leave it there for everyone today. Everyone, take care, be safe, watch your surroundings, and we'll talk again soon. And bye-bye.